Good evening and a very warm welcome back to the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship, which will be getting underway very, very shortly. 6 rounds inspired by real world 750 Motor Club competition, starting off here at Brands Hatch Indy with the Global Master MX5 Cup, representing the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup. In a couple of weeks, we move on to the national layout at Silverstone for Formula V, representing the Sustain Fuels Formula V Championship, then on to Snetterton 300 with the Renault Clio RS5 representing the VSG Crypto Clio Sports Championship. And then a slightly different format for the fourth round of the championship. That will be our 45-minute endurance round at Alton Park, again with the Global Master MX5 Cup. Then we move on to Circuit de Navarra, a circuit that we've not been to in the real world, but we can in the virtual one with the BMW M2 Club Sport racing car, which has just been added to the BMW Car Club Racing Championship on January the 20th. And then our finale at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit with the Radical SR8 representing the Radical Club Challenge. As I said, a 45-minute endurance race for Alton Park, but the other 5 meetings, 3 15-minute races with qualifying setting the grid for race 1, and then the top 10 reverse race for race 2 based off of the race 1 result, and then the third and final race with the race 2 results. A few changes for this year. We're still powered by Grid Finder, but now moving from Assetto Corsa over to iRacing. That means a few things. One, that means fixed setups, quick repairs, and an 18 incident point limit. But crucially, it means dedicated car numbers and liveries. So hopefully you will be able to spot your favorite driver a little bit more easily this time. It's 30 points available for the winner, slightly revised points format for this season as well. Slightly bigger points between the top paying positions. So it's 6 points the difference between first and second now, and 4 points between second and third. There'll also be bonus points in qualifying for the endurance round at Alton Park as well. One drop score as well to take into account, because we know that unfortunately not everyone can commit to every single round, and so that is there much in the same way we have drop scores in the real world championships to accommodate people's schedules. So we'll soon be into qualifying for the first time. It's the MX5 Cup, and indeed the Mazda MX5 Cup in 2026 will be starting its season at Brands Indy as well on the 18th of April. Oak Richardson taking the championship in the real world this year, so we can now join the cars for qualifying. Slightly different to the real world, of course, where we use the Mark 1 Mazda MX5. It is the global version of the car from 2016 here in iRacing. But of course, the advantage of the Mark 1 car is that 5 Club boasts some of the biggest grids across the UK. In fact, some of the best across the year on average. So if you look at the timing tower on the left-hand side, you'll notice some familiar names. Noah Osbaldeston, the Sports 1000 racer from this year, just completed his first year of car racing there at the top of the times in the 124 car on a 51.5. Shay Brennan in second position, who raced in the Swift Sports Challenge this year, brand new series for 2025. Another driver making his debut, both 17 years old and real future stars of racing, hopefully. Shay Brennan, one of many novices in the Swift Sport Challenge for 2025. I think half the grid had novice crosses on the back of their cars at that very first meeting back at Silverstone in May. And then Trafford King as well, the inaugural champion of the 750 Motor Club Sim Series and Type R champion as well, rejoins us once again in number 42. You'll also see as well Daniel Perry in fourth position from Devon, but joining us from Jersey in the USA tonight, former 116 trophy racer and competing in road sports this year with Jez Banks, who is also on the grid here tonight in their Ginetta G40 they were racing in. Look how close it's getting at the top of the times now, just 48 thousandths of a second between Noah Osbaldeston and Trafford King. We're seeing the real world talent start to make its way over to the front. Other familiar names from the 750 Motor Club: Tortulla in 10th position, the number 90 car, the former Formula V racer and current low-cost racer. Be back in the low-cost championship for 2026, he tells us. Nice art design there, but going very, very wide on the exit of Graham Hill Bend. Though I know that iRacing has done a little bit of work to eke out the grass cheat that there is, where there is actually more grip on the very edge of the grass than there is on the actual asphalt. But there you can see a new problem that we wouldn't have had last year, which is all the gravel that gets strewn across the racetrack. That certainly wasn't in Assetto Corsa, and actually wasn't even in iRacing when we last ran the championship a year ago. So that is going to be a new challenge for these drivers to have to face. Now, the real world races, they'll be very used to that, of course, particularly from the Brands Indy meeting that we had back in April in the real world. That was quite the incident-filled day, particularly in the Type R trophy. Trafford King will have some sorry memories of that. Thankfully, wasn't too involved in the incident itself, but was very much a witness to them. Car number 56 here, which is Luca Monroe. No real-world experience, but a two-time Abruzzi Prototype Challenge champion. He's down in 17th position at the moment. The devil's number away from Noah Osbaldeston at the moment, who still leads the way with just under 2.5 minutes left in this qualifying session. Remember, this is only setting the grid for race 1. We have tinkered with the format over the course. We used to have the same grid for all 3 races. That is no longer the case. So we see car number 22, which is Ryan Cunningham, who is used to racing Hondas. Just been demoted to 9th position because it is the 26th of Albert Henriksen Bell, the 17-year-old, who started rental karting 3 years ago, raced in Rob Smedley's Global Series, the Fat Series, and in fact next week we'll be heading to California for the Fat Karting World Finals at Willow Springs Raceway, aiming to compete in British F4. Of course, if he wins the World Finals in Fat Karting, then he will get quite the leg up towards British F4. Who else do we have? We haven't mentioned Jackson Carden yet, the number 96, the 16-year-old who made his Type R Trophy debut midway through this year and competed in the championship with us last year. Multiple podium finisher, 3rd in the championship, as well as a pole position in the Carmel Porsche Trophy meeting at Alton Park during that season. Planning on doing a full season of the Type R Trophy next year. And it's so great to see some of these drivers who have come in, dipped their toe in the water through the Sim Series, moving on to the real world. I can think of a number of drivers who've done that. George King, quite a famous example, who started sim racing and then joined the 750 Motor Club, and now you will find him racing all across the world. Just completed his first year of GT World Challenge Australia, in fact. So 30 seconds left on the clock. It seems like Noah Osbaldeston is the driver to beat. Still a 51.475 for the Sports 1000 racer. 17 years old is Noah, and in fact took his maiden win in the Sports 1000 Championship at this track earlier this year. Out at Clearways and on to the Brabham. Not very straight. Might just squeeze in another lap here. Oh, he did just get over the timing line in time with 3 seconds to go, but it could well be that there's no one else out there. Oh, no, in fact, sorry, it's solo qualifying. We don't get the extra time, and so it is Noah Osbaldeston who takes first honours in the 2025-26 edition of the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder. It is Noah Osbaldeston on pole position ahead of the inaugural champion, Trafford King. Shay Brennan, the Swift Challenge racer, beating Jackson Carden on the 2nd row of the grid. 3rd row of the grid is Albert Henriksen Bell ahead of Daniel Perry, the Road Sports racer. James Ellis beating Alex Stockton, another returning racer to this championship on the 4th row of the grid. 5th row of the grid is Ryan Cunningham, and then James King in 10th position. The Saprician rounding up the top 10 there. Stanley Rolfe in the number 36 car, the former BMW racer, and then the low-cost racer, Tortola. Ross Lorem, the Mazda racer, ahead of Richard Holloway. The Alpine 3D printer. Luca Monroe in 15th, and then Paul Forsyth in 82. The Sevens champion. Then Mark Witherington and Ryan Barker inside the top 18. Top 20 rounded up by Lewis Barker, the hot hatch racer, and Jez Banks, the road sports racer. Andrew Cooper, the 750 Motor Club director, ahead of Nick Tuller, the father, I believe, of Tortola. Mark Crawford, and then Aaron Reeve in 44. The Club Enduro racer. Harry Pridding in 25th, ahead of Paul Donaldson in 77. Andy Wolf in 25th, and then Daniel Blanco in the 627 car did not qualify. And then some of our admins erroneously making their way onto the grid. But now it is the green flag for the first time in the 2025-26 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder. And it is Noah Osbaldeston who leads the way. And it looks like drama's off the line for Shay Brennan, though, who did not get away at all from 3rd on the grid. So that has promoted Jackson Carden immediately, and they're already looking to pull away. There's a slight breakaway of Osbaldeston and Trafford King. A few cars having to take to the grass on the exit of Druids, but overall quite a clean start. Some of them taking real liberties with the track limits. Now that 18 into the limit, that does include your track limits there, of course, so they've got to take it easy. It is a 15-minute race, so you think if you do one a lap, you'll still be flirting with danger a little bit there. So it's getting very, very close on the exit of Clearways for 4th position as Albert Henriksen Bell and Shay Brennan do battle. Look at that, 4 abreast on the Brabham Straight at the end of the first lap for 4th position. Absolutely astonishing stuff, as Shay Brennan already fighting his way back through into the pack as Henriksen Bell gets forced out going into Paddock Hill Bend for the 2nd time of asking. Great battling as in the KFC car is Shay Brennan there with James Ellis and Henriksen Bell, and then Alex Thompson, Daniel Perry, and Tortola, all for very close company indeed. This is on board with Stockton as we head down the Cooper Straight. It's about the straightest part of the racetrack, in fact, and the only blind spot when you're in the commentary box on the top tower in the middle of the circuit. But no problems for us here tonight as they flurry through the gravel that's already made its way onto the racetrack. Noah Osbaldeston still leading by just over a 10th of a second to Trafford King. Jackson Carden staying with them, and then this battle for 4th position at about 2 seconds or so behind the leading trio. Paul Forsyth at the back of that queue. You can see how many cars are in this fight. With that Shay Brennan and James Ellis swapping positions going down into Druids. Shay Brennan just coming out on top on that occasion, but James Ellis being squeezed over onto the grass, and Ellis there looking for a way around the Swift racer, and down the inside they bang doors, and Shay Brennan once again finds himself in a little bit of strife. First of all, it was off the line, and now it is with a car into his door, which has plummeted him all the way down to 10th position. And the car trying to take advantage of that is Alex Stockton to the outside of Paddock Hill Bend for 4th position on James Ellis, who just about hangs on. James Ellis, the 17-year-old from Macclesfield, the former Ginetta Junior racer, who took a bit of a sabbatical from racing this year, but looking to get back into Ginetta machinery for next year, potentially in GT4 competition. Oh, now that was a spin there for one of the cars in front. Doesn't look like it was any of our top 3, so probably a back marker that was getting lapped. still Osbaldeston, King and Carden up at the front of the field, so no changes there. And in fact, look at those 3 cars 3.5 minutes into this race, and Noah Osbaldeston doing a great job defending here from Trafford King, the inaugural champion, don't forget. So it's the Sports 1000 racer who took his maiden win at this track earlier this year against the inaugural champion, the Type R Trophy champion of this year as well, don't forget. And then Jackson Carden in number 96, who made his Type R Trophy debut earlier this year. Started autocross racing at age 10, did Carden, the 16-year-old from Warrington. Battle for 4th position continues to rage on. In fact, this is actually a little bit further back with Shay Brennan just ahead of James King and Richard Holloway. James King, the Cypressian and Armed Force Race Challenge podium finisher. To focus more on his esports campaign for next year, but potentially returning to the AFRC in 2027. This is with Albert Henriksen Bell on the inside of James Ellis going into Druids. You can see Alex Stockton's already taken that 4th position away, and Henriksen Bell going through into 5th. No, he's not, because James Ellis fights back down the inside using that Ginetta experience, which, if you haven't watched Ginetta Junior racing in the UK, it is absolutely balls to the wall racing. What happens when you take a bunch of teenagers, give them a GT5 car for the first time on a racetrack? It is pure carnage, but brilliant to watch. Great entertainment. Of course, formerly on the Toka bill, now on the SRO bill. And they go side by side down the front straight with James Ellis on the outside. So that's going to be a big, bold braking maneuver to try and go around there. Oh, that looked like one of the leaders going through the gravel on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. Harry Pridding. So that was actually a car that was a lap down, so nothing to worry about there, but it is getting awfully close now between the leaders, with Trafford King practically in the gearbox of Noah Osbaldeston. Harry Pridding limping on there. Oh, Shay Brennan, more dramas for Shay Brennan as down into clearways, the number 19 car gets another off-track excursion. I must say, this was sadly a recurring thing when Shay was racing with us in the championship last year. Dramas for Alex Stockton as well in the battle for 4th position, who's gone off at Paddock Hill Bend. And a big dent into the rear end of that number 29 car. So I do wonder if there was a helping hand there. And well, at least that's one place back up for Shay Brennan, who I will say raced much more cleanly and had much better luck as well. Far fewer incidents in the Swift Sport Challenge in the real world. A very, very competitive first year of racing. Second highest rookie, I believe, as well. As we've had a change for the lead here, potentially with Trafford King side by side with Noah Osbaldeston. This is the first look that the Type R Trophy champion has had, and on the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. Oh, and Carter gets into the side of Noah Osbaldeston, the pole sitter, the man who has led this race from the off, and Osbaldeston will fall down into 3rd position at the very least. He's falling all the way down the order as he's stuck in the gravel down at Paddock Hill Bend. So dramas at the head of the field now. It's Trafford King who takes to the front. Osbaldeston has recovered onto the racetrack, but down in 9th position. Now, if he stays there, he will actually start towards the front for the reverse grid race. Remember, it's this race result and the top 10 reversed. But I'm sure he's not going to settle for 9th position. He's going to try and fight his way back up the order. So it's Trafford King who takes over at the head of the field. 1.2 seconds clear now of Jackson Carden, after Carden going to the side of the erstwhile race leader. And then James Ellis now leading this battle for what is now 3rd position. Can Henriksen Bell fight his way onto the inside there in that white car with the blue strip across the front? He's on the inside going into Paddock Hill Bend. An awful lot of curb being used there. You see the cool camel livery being used for James Ellis there. It's the iRacing team he drives for. And Henriksen Bell does go through into 3rd position. But look at Tortola, who's also on the back back of James Ellis there. This is great stuff. You've got Henriksen Bell, a rental carter, going toe-to-toe with the former Ginetta racer, going toe-to-toe with the low-cost racer, also going toe-to-toe with the man who works for the Alpine F1 team, Rich Holloway, that we're riding on board with now, the 3D printer. So that is for the wind tunnel model parts and also for the F1 car itself. Hopefully he's not going to be too busy over the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix weekend, but previously working in GT rallying and rally cross as well is Richard Holloway, who's doing a great job there in 6th position, bearing in mind that his actual racing experience is very limited. Luca Monroe's moved up from 15th up to 8th position now, as James King in that 23 car, the former Armed Forces Race Challenge driver, just made up a position there up into 7th position. Noah Osbaldeston now on the back of this as well. He's just usurped Luca Monroe. Great battling once again here in the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship. Oh, dramas further back though, and that is Daniel Perry in the number 28 car that's gone for a spin. So the man joining us from Jersey tonight, experienced in 116 trophy as both a team owner and a driver, but more recently racing in the road sports in the Ginetta G40, sharing that car with Jez Banks. Ryan Cunningham has Stanley Rolfe for quite close company. Stanley Rolfe in 36, former BMW Car Club racing driver for 5 years. Last saw him out in 2022. Yeah, driver from Buckinghamshire. We rejoin the battle for the last spot on the podium then, as it is Henriksen Bell who continues to hold the advantage over James Ellis, who pulls out to the outside going into Paddock Hill Bend, tucks back in behind. He can try to straighten the car up and get the run into Druids. They are side by side now, but Henriksen Bell saw the move coming. He's defended to the inside, but James Ellis still trying to go all the way around the outside using that Ginetta experience from a couple of years ago. He may have been sat on the sidelines for a while, but he hasn't lost any of his Mustang. He does go through into Graham Hill Bend and up into 3rd position, but Henriksen Bell with the drag onto the Cooper straight. Oh, they touched there as well. Great save there from Ellis, who does have to scamper over the curb and even a little bit of the grass going through Surtees. Wide goes Henriksen Bell, though. He's going to lose a heap of places as a result of that. Here comes Tortola and Noah Osbaldeston, who could still find himself up on the podium despite that spin and contact earlier on into Paddock Hill Bend. So he's made his way up into 5th position now. He could have 4th by the time they get into Druids with Tortola to his left-hand side. It's that 124 car. We're looking at it. He's getting boxed in there by James Ellis. That doesn't stop him from taking 4th position. Does it stop him from taking 3rd? Oh my goodness, 2 in 1 for Noah Osbaldeston. Great stuff there from the Sports 1000 racer. And after leading and being punted off, he now finds himself back on the podium. It's a good job he didn't settle for that reverse grip spot, because he has now found himself on the podium, and I imagine he'll start to pull away from James Ellis and co. Just under 3 minutes left to go in this race, and it has not been short of drama at all, has it? Tortola now making the move on James Ellis. It's the low-cost racer versus the Ginetta racer down the Brabham Straight. Tortola in the white number 90 car on the inside going into Paddock Hill Bend, and that is 4th position now for the 22-year-old from Derby. Oh, dramas for Paul Forsyth down in what was 14th position. Oh, more dramas for Shea Brennan as well. Goodness me. Oh, the poor lad. Give him a break. Mark Witherington just ahead of Lewis Barker, the hot hatch racer, on the track. Then we're starting to get into a little bit of traffic as well, which is going to make things a little bit more difficult for even some of these guys in the mid pack. Shea Brennan now coming into the pits in fact, presumably for a fast repair, which you do get one of. Richard Holloway and James King going toe-to-toe on the exit of Paddock Bend, and it was James King with two wheels in the gravel on the exit of the corner, so that allows Richard Holloway to go back through, but still with a nose alongside. King back on the inside for sixth position going into Graham Hill Bend. So James King in car number 23 has to settle back in behind Richard Holloway, the Alpine racer. Now look at this, Jackson Carden, and we're moving on to what will be the penultimate lap of the race. Now, Trafford King is under big pressure from Jackson Carden. The Carden has already had one drama in this race. He can ill afford a second, I would have thought. They've got plenty of space to battle with, because Noah Osbaldeston in third is some 9 seconds behind this battle now for the lead. And so with only a lap and a half remaining, the question is going to be, will it be Trafford King back to winning ways in the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship? Or will Jackson Carden take his first victory in the championship? Two very different lines being used through clearways. One tour to go then. And we're on board with Carden as they make their way down the Brabham Straight, soaking up the slipstream of Trafford King. Absolutely incredible battling all the way through the field. Carden pulls out to the outside line. King holding the inside line. Carden carrying great speed around the outside and does just about draw a bit of an overlap there with Trafford King. But going into Druids, he's got the wrong line and has to settle in behind. Very respectful racing in the early stages. But Carden now throwing one to the inside, and King was not leaving him much space there at all. Great stuff, and that might just have been the final opportunity there for Carden, who I think tested the steering a little bit there, making sure there wasn't any damage to the front end of his car. Last corner, and Trafford King has a car length and a half. And so for the first time in what feels like a very long time in the virtual world, it is going to be Trafford King who takes the victory in the first race of the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder for 2025-26. Jackson Carden just settles into second. Noah Osbaldeston will consolidate a third position. It could have been the victory, but that contact managed to demote him. A great recovery nonetheless. Tortola beats James Ellis and Albert Henriksen Bell in that battle for fourth position, ahead of Richard Holloway, James King, Stanley Rolfe, and Ryan Cunningham completing your top 10. But what a cracking start to proceedings here at Brands Hatch, and a great taster of things to come for when the real world 750 Motor Club MX5 Cup comes to Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit on the 18th of April. Don't forget. Cracking stuff as the last few cars just make their way across the timing line to meet the checkered flag at the end of race number 1. Absolutely cracking stuff. So Trafford King opens up his account book for the 2025-26 season. And so for the reverse grid race, it'll be Ryan Cunningham and Stanley Rolfe on the front row of the grid, then James King and Richard Holloway on the second row of the grid. Third row of the grid will be Albert Henriksen Bell and James Ellis. And then fourth row of the grid, Tortola and Noah Osbaldeston after finishing third in race 1. Fifth row of the grid will be our top 2 from race 1. So Jackson Carden and winner Trafford King having to fight their way from the top 10. A format that Trafford King will be very familiar with from Type R Trophy. Alex Stockton and Daniel Perry are on the 6th row of the grid. 7th row of the grid will be Luca Monroe and Andrew Cooper. 56 and 41 respectively. Oh, jump start there, it looked like, by Jackson Carden. We've got the green flag now being shown for the start of race number 2. And the number 22 making a very good start. Ryan Cunningham there from reverse grid pole position. Clean start through Paddock Hill Bend and into Druids. Oh, couple off in the background. It's the 41 of Andrew Cooper. That was pitched round. See if Ryan Cunningham is still leading the way at the end of the first lap from reverse grid pole. So James King, the Suprician. Oh, spin for number 22, Ryan Cunningham. That's the car that started on pole position and has collected a few cars on the exit of Clearways, though. And so that means it is now Richard Holloway that leads the way ahead of James King. Bit of oh, God, look at that. How many cars ended up in pit lane there? Alex Stockton, Ryan Cunningham, Noah Osbaldeston, crucially there as well. Daniel Perry and Jackson Carden. Wow, so two of our top three in pit lane at the end of the first lap. I wonder if Trafford King was also involved in that as well. It doesn't look like it, but oh no, he's there in 7th position. So it's Richard Holloway, James King, Albert Henriksen, Bell, Tortalla, James Ellis, your top 5 at the end of that first lap. And so, wow, dramas for the 2nd and 3rd place drivers from race 1, but crucially, race 1 winner Trafford King getting through very cleanly and making a big dive on the inside there on Stanley Rolfe for 6th position. So our race 1 winner already up to 6th from 10th on the grid, keeping his nose clean. And oh, look at the damage though on James Ellis's car. So he's powering on as the Ginetta racer. I'm sure he's seen Ginettas in worse conditions than that actually that have continued racing, but he's going to have the inaugural champion bearing down on him very, very quickly indeed. Dramas for Paul Donaldson in 77, coming through Paddock Hill Bend. This is Tortalla trying to make a move on Albert Henriksen Bell for 4th position. No, 3rd position. The timing tower getting confused there as cars make their way into the pits. So Tortalla, the low-cost racer, up into 3rd position. Look at the advantage that the top 2 have pulled. Richard Holloway and James King absolutely clearing off down the road. 3 seconds is the advantage that they have pulled now, as James Ellis is coming under pressure from Trafford King. And Stanley Rolfe, who's looking back on the inside of the race 1 winner there. I thought that was going to be a bit of a one-and-done move for Trafford King, but Rolfe is not taking it lying down at all in that Dunkin' Donuts car. Trafford King's livery very much reflecting his real-world Type R trophy car from DH Racing. And he has a run down the Cooper Straight here on the inside at Surtees on James Ellis, and very, very close to contact as Ellis was to the extreme right-hand side of the circuit onto the curbing, and that of course gives him the advantage going into the final corner at Clearways, and he's just able to chop the nose there of Trafford King in their battle for 4th position. So by the looks of it, Trafford King wasn't able to get that move done on James Ellis, so it hangs on to 4th position, does the former Ginetta racer, and they're dropping time as well to Tortalla, which is the crucial thing. Still James King looking at the back of Richard Holloway in the lead. Here are the leaders, the Foster's livery for Richard Holloway. I'm not sure if I'm actually allowed to say that on stream, but it's a familiar F logo, as James King, look how close he gets in that silver and red number 23 car. And Trafford King, oh, into the back of James Ellis there on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. You see that more often than not, and Ellis hanging on to it, and Trafford again giving Ellis's car a little bit of a nudge, this time at the apex of Druids. And Stanley Rolfe right in this fight as well. So great scrapping once again for 4th position. But there you see the car on its own just up the road is Tortalla pulling away from these guys now. And Trafford King knows that if he wants to finish on the podium, he's going to have to dispatch of James Ellis sooner rather than later. We're already a third of the way through the race. And James Ellis, bearing in mind that the complete front of his car is missing, doing a great job out there. I wonder if he even knows that the front of his car is missing. So back into Paddock Hill Bend once again, and Trafford King not only covering off a move against Stanley Rolfe, but also making an attack on James Ellis with that dive to the inside. This time he should have the inside line just about, has to use some of the curbing on driver's right to get it done, but Trafford King does go through into 4th position. The race 1 winner up from 10th on the grid. James Ellis now with Stanley Rolfe in his mirrors. And Trafford King already starting to pull away from the former Ginetta racer. Noah Osbaldeston recovering here in 14th position. Goodness me, what a difference a race makes. Remember, was caught up in that lap 1 drama over at Clearways. This is for the lead then 6 minutes into the race, and Richard Holloway doing a great job. Richard Holloway working for the Alpine F1 teams we were talking about earlier, a 3D printer, so making parts for the wind tunnel models and also for the full-sized F1 car itself as well. Season will be coming to an end in Abu Dhabi in just a few days' time. I know we're all very eager to see the championship finale between Lando Norris, Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri. Richard will be focusing on Pierre Gasly and Franco Colapinto's performances. Right now, he's focused on his own performance and James King, who is all over his virtual mirror. The 31-year-old Cyprician goes to the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, and that was a big lunge on the outside. One that didn't quite pay off for him in that move for the lead. He still has to look at the back of the Blue Foster's car, the number 21. Tortola not exactly closing in on them, but if they keep squabbling like that, you know that he will be closing in on them as well. The gap currently 2.6 seconds, and in fact the gap to Trafford King is also closing. So I guess the hope for Holloway and King is going to be that Trafford King will be the one to disrupt Tortola a little bit and prevent him from going through. But they are now side by side as they make their way down the start-finish straight, and James King has now got an overlap and is ahead of Richard Holloway as they make their way into Paddock Hill Bend. So we just ticked over half race distance, 8 minutes into the race, and we have a new race leader. It is James King for the first time in this one, in this top 10 reverse grid race. Holloway not taking it lying down, was closing in going into Druids, but not able to make any kind of a maneuver. So now we're going to see a different dynamic play out here with James King in clean air and Holloway having to be the aggressor rather than the defender. Daniel Perry down in 16th position at the moment, looking at Alex Stockton, another driver on the recovery from that lap 1 drama. Daniel Perry, we mentioned earlier, the road sports racer, but looking to move into Club Enduro, the sort of biggest sibling to road sports, and indeed the Brit Car Championship with the GT4 version of their Ginetta. Big plans for Dan Perry. Not sure if that will still be with Jez Banks, who he was racing with this year. Trafford King now up into 3rd position ahead of Tortola. So the Type R racer usurping the low-cost racer. So great to see the different worlds colliding. Yes, a lot of these people will have raced at the same tracks on the same weekends, but not against each other in the 750 Motor Club paddock. And so this is a great opportunity to see those guys battle it out for the first time in the virtual world. Now, can they work together here and close up on King and Holloway? With 5 minutes left in this race, the gap's still around 2.6 seconds, especially if Holloway and James King start squabbling. Then, well, there's still hope yet for Trafford King. Heck, he could maybe even go back-to-back. You never know. So those are the leaders. Less than half a second separating them at the moment. Richard Holloway, who came out on top at the end of lap 1. Oh, big sideways moment, though, for the Alpine 3D printer, though, and that has cost him an awful lot of time to the race leader. Look at that. He's dropped a full second now on James King, and that has very much bridged the gap for Trafford King and Tortola. And I've no doubt now that will incentivize those two to work together slightly and go after Richard Holloway now. But that, of course, is the erstwhile race leader with a big save over at Clearways. 4 minutes left on the clock then, and Trafford King closing in on Richard Holloway now for second position. The gap that was 2.6 seconds, now less than 1.2. Further down the field, we've got Alex Stockton in 14th position, trying to get up on Mark Witherington. In fact, they banged door handles going into Druids, and that also allows Daniel Perry to also move through into 14th place. Mark Witherington down 2 spots there, just ahead of Andrew Cooper. The next car up the road for Stockton is Noah Osbaldeston. As we see Toller following in the wheel tracks of Trafford King, still 3.5 minutes left on the clock. And the gap coming down again, another 0.2 of a second on that previous lap. And so King and Toller closing in on Richard Holloway. 3 minutes to go, so you think maybe 4 more laps of this race. See when they get over the timing line. Probably actually only 3 laps by the time they get over to the timing line. There's the race leader, James King. Oh, and look at that, dramas for the back markers. He had to try and get around there. Well navigated there from James King. We saw that there was debris on the road, but the drivers responsible for it was still parked on the racing line. And so good job by all 4 of our leaders to make their way through it. That has closed things up once again. Trafford King now half a second behind Richard Holloway for second position going into Druids. James King should, in theory, be safe for the win, depending on how this fight worked out. 1.4 seconds his advantage, but with only 2 laps to go, should be in a safe position. You see some crumbled bodywork on the front of Trafford King's car. He has been into the back of a few cars, but that has not curbed his speed at all. 2 laps to go, and it's all eyes on the battle for second place, with Richard Holloway, who led the vast majority of this race, now being caught by Trafford King and Tortola. Remember, he had that big moment out of Clearways a few laps ago that has very much helped to bridge this gap. Yeah, Paul Donaldson in 19th position, but really we need to be watching the battle for second place, because Holloway, King and Tuller are separated by absolutely nothing with a lap and a half to go. There they are. Still just Holloway is hanging on to second place, and surely there's only going to be 1 more lap for Trafford King to try and find a way through. All depends on when James King gets over the timing line. Oh, this is going to be very tight, actually, for 2 more laps to go. We're really going to have to wait and see. He got over the line with 58 seconds to go, I think. They might actually squeeze 1 more lap out of this. Well, we'll see when the checkered flag comes out. It's going to be very, very tight. So there might still be 2 laps to go. Not quite sure just yet. We'll see in a minute, as Holloway still manages to hold on to second place just about. King's advantage now less than a second. And you think, if anything, King's pace has actually sped Holloway up a little bit, as he's got a good run here now down the Cooper Straight. He's going to have a look on the inside going into Surtees. No, he's not. He's practically pushing Richard Holloway through that corner, though. Wide line into Clearways, tries to get that drag on the exit of the corner and through the Clark curve and then onto the Brabham Straight. Portella waiting patiently in there as well, and confirmed it is white flag. We are going to get 1 more lap out of this, so it's astonishing stuff. And there's the dive on the inside from Trafford King for second place going into Paddock Hill Bend. Great stuff there. He's slowed up on the exit though. Tortola now shows his nose as well. He draws alongside of Richard Holloway and could demote him from the podium. Oh, gets into the side of Holloway's car and manages to go through. A bit of a bump and run there from Tortola, but he does move up into third position. So Richard Holloway demoted off the podium now. Such a shame to see, but I don't think they were ever going to stop King and Tuller from coming through. Holloway might still have one more opportunity to take this place back, and look how much speed he was carrying through Surtees, but no, into clearways. He's still following Tortola's car. It's going to be fourth position for Richard Holloway. Meanwhile, it's going to be James King who takes victory in race 2 of the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder in the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup here at Brands Hatch Indy. Trafford King in second position after his race 1 win, and then Tortola in third. Absolutely cracking finish there. So James King adds his name to the book. Trafford King finishing on the podium. Tortola with his first podium of the season. Oh, James King with a nice celebratory spin there. But this is incredible stuff, and some donuts there. The Armed Forces Race Challenge podium finisher from a few years ago. RAF e-motorsport driver. Look at that. You've got the Armed Forces Race Challenge driver ahead of the Type R Trophy driver, ahead of the low-cost driver. That is exactly what we love to see. I will remind everyone that this is based on real-world competition. If you are looking at this and thinking, I want a piece of that, then all you need to do is go to the 750 Motor Club website, 750mc.co.uk. The very first thing you will see is a button that says Start Racing. And there's all the information that you need there, from where to take your ARDS test, where to get the right kits. You can get your Go Racing pack from Motorsport UK for just £115. You can do your ARDS for as little as £250. There are more than 20 formula in the 750 Motor Club. Single-seaters, hot hatches, saloons, coupes, GT-style cars, baby prototypes, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, sprint championships, endurance championships. It is the best value for money racing in the UK, with some of the best and most competitive grids as well. So if you're looking at this and thinking, I want a piece of that in the real world, then you absolutely can. 750mc.co.uk. So just one more race to go. Astonishing already. And our first disqualification of the season as well, the former Formula V and Toyota MR2 racer, Andy Wolf, hitting the incident limit in that one, which is a shame to see. But now one more race to go, and it will be the grid from the race 2 result. I'll remind everyone as well, if you're watching from the 750 Motor Club, the awards night is coming up on Saturday, the 7th of February at the Leonardo Hotel at Hinkley Island. We had a record turnout last year, and this year as well, we also will be awarding the trophies for the Road Sports, which had its first year as a championship rather than as a series, and of course the Swift Sport Challenge as well, which is a new championship for 2025. So tickets are available, 750mc.co.uk, and we'll also be celebrating the Winter Sim Champion there as well. Part of the prize package will include 2 free tickets to the awards night. If you're racing in 2026 as well, the individual calendars for the various formulae are now out and available to see. Registration for the 2026 season opens on Tuesday, the 27th of January. So the day of the finale for the Winter Sim Championship. So if you're competing here as well, then make sure you get your registration done and then go and compete in the race as well. Individual race entries will open the following week on the 10th of February. All that information is available on the revamped 750 Motor Club website. Further improvements to come there for 2026, I'm told. 750mc.co.uk. So drivers taking liberties in this warm-up session as we get ready for the third and final race of the day. It's been a cracking effort so far. I'll give a shout out to some of the drivers that we haven't seen so much of so far tonight, which includes Ryan Barker, who only started racing in May in Time Attack and did 2 rounds of our Hot Hatch Championship in his EP3 Civic, alongside I believe is his brother Lewis, who was very much a regular in that championship, second in the Class A Championship this year. And I believe Ryan is planning to do the full season next year there as well, which will be great to see, of course. And we do love seeing drivers come up through the fold. Of course, the Swift Sport Challenge, that was full of novices in 2025. It was designed as the perfect gateway for novice drivers. And I think I said earlier, but about half the field, more than half the field, had a novice cross on their car at the start of the season in Silverstone. And it is officially the fastest selling one-make championship on record. We had 30 cars from round 1 in May. Absolutely astonishing. And so we're very much looking forward to a second season of Swift Sport Challenge next year. A reminder that this is just the first round of 6 in the 2025-26 campaign. We're back in 2 weeks' time at the Silverstone National Circuit for the Sustain Fuels Formula V Championship on December 16th. Before moving on to Snetterton 300 for the VSG Crypto Clio Sports Championship. Let's run you through the grid. So it's James King and Traffic King, the two kings at the head of the field. Tortola in third, ahead of Richard Holloway in 4th position on the second row of the grid. Third row of the grid will be James Ellis and Stanley Rolfe after their battle in race 2. Fourth row of the grid will be Ross Loram and then Jez Banks. Jez Banks, the Road Sports racer, with Daniel Perry. Shea Brennan, hopefully we'll have a clean race in this one from 9th position. Then Paul Forsyth completing the top 10. Luca Monroe in 11th position. Then Noah Osbaldeston on the recovery from 12th position. Daniel Perry and Alex Stockton, another driver who had a big recovery in race 2, going from 14th position. Mark Witherington in 15th position, but the red lights are on and race 3 is underway, the final race of the night. And Trafford King pulls out to the outside going into Paddock Hill Bend, trying to usurp the pole sitter James King, but wasn't able to do so. It's James King with the whole shot going into Paddock Hill Bend, and Tortola ahead of Richard Holloway. So it's as you were for the top 4 going into the first couple of corners. Wide moment though for James King, and so Traffic King trying to get the opportunity to do something he wasn't able to do in race 2. Bit of dramas further back, 2 in the wall on the exit of Druids, and that looked like a wide moment there for James King. It was, because that's allowed Traffic King to go through. The 2 cars involved, that was Albert Henriksen Bell in the 26, who was fighting for the podium earlier on in the night, but that's big damage on the front of his car. So Trafford King making his way down the start-finish straight at speed for the first time, and I imagine he'll try and pull a bit of a gap now as James King has got Tortola and Richard Holloway and James Ellis for very close company in 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Noah Osbaldeston up to 6th position. Great first lap from him, and he may well get himself back onto the podium. He was 3rd in race 1, remember. Oh, dramas for Richard Holloway though from 4th position. The Foster's car has had a spill, so that's opened up the front pack just a little bit, with a bit of a gap growing between James Ellis and Tortola there. But Noah Osbaldeston will be on the back of them very, very quickly, I'd have thought. It's got Ross Loram for close company. The car just in front of him is James Ellis. So across the timing line once again, less than 0.4 of a second, the advantage for Trafford King ahead of James King, and then Tortella and James Ellis. Too many Jameses, too many Ellis and Kings in this one. I don't believe there is a relation between Trafford and James King, by the way. But I will double check that after the night's racing. The race 1 winner going for a second victory of the night. Shades of the inaugural season all over again, as Trafford was a winning machine back in the 2023-24 campaign. And James King is not exactly far away. I thought Trafford would try and pull away a little bit. But in the slipstream, down the start and finish straight. Car coming out of the pit lane, right into the thick of the action there. I imagine they'll go slowly a little bit, but the leaders closing up through Paddock Hill Bend. Alex Stockton on the recovery there in 10th position in the number 29 car. Alex Stockton competed in last year's series, been playing racing games since a kid, as Osbaldeston makes a move for 4th position now on James Ellis. Oh, they rub door handles going through Surtees, and Ellis once again showing his defensive prowess. Great stuff there from young Ellis. In fact, well, both of these guys very, very young, both 17 years of age. James Ellis competing in Ginetta Juniors a year ago, Noah Osbaldeston in Sports 1000 this year. Both looking to move up the professional racing ladder, as Osbaldeston is right in the rear end. Oh, he's tagged him under braking for Druids, and Osbaldeston goes through, and that was the definition of a bump and run, wasn't it? But he is through into 4th. The gap to the podium, 1.7 seconds, and that is closing up, and I dare say that some squabbling will allow Osbaldeston to close up that gap, and maybe James Ellis as well. They make their way into clearways. Oh, big dramas down at Druids, though, with Mark Crawford and Aaron Reeve making contact in there. Caught up in that as well was the 32, or the 82, sorry, of Paul Forsyth. And Ryan Barker in that green number 30 car, unfortunately, also caught up in that one. Daniel Perry in a bit of a fight here, just ahead of Alex Stockton, just behind Luca Monroe and Stanley Rolfe. Stanley Rolfe, who was involved in the podium battle earlier in the night. Daniel Perry in that grey and green trimmed number 28 car, looking at the back of Luca Monroe. And I also need to check if there's if there is a relation with Tractions Monroe for Luca there as well. But Stanley Rolfe leading that queue of cars into Paddock Hill Bend. Back with the leaders, Trafford King holding on to the advantage, but not by much at all. James King be keeping Trafford very, very honest. And now we're into the back markers that were involved in that incident over at Druids. It's always a trepidatious time in the race, as they have to make their way around damaged back markers at that as well, so they're not even necessarily in full control of their cars. But they've safely navigated the first one. Across the line to tick off another lap, 6 minutes into the race now. Tortola yet to show his nose on James King, though. Tortola sharing the grid here with his, I want to say father, but could be grandfather. Years old, whereas Tortola 22. So the safe bet would be grandfather, but I don't want to make any assumptions. So Tortola who took a break from low-cost racing to race in Formula V last year. Finished 7th in the championship this year, did Tortola, with a podium finish. As we have Luca Monroe and Daniel Perry side by side here, with Monroe on the inside. Also Alex Stockton against Luca Monroe, and then Daniel Perry on Stanley Rolfe, that was. So 2 changes of position happening into Paddock Hill Bend there, with Stockton consolidating a move down into Druids. Noah Osbaldeston here in 4th position. Look how much closer he is to the top 3 now. He's now within half a second of Tortola, and if he hasn't already shown his nose to James King, he may well try and do so very, very shortly, because Noah Osbaldeston, who is absolutely flying, remember he was leading the majority of race 1 before getting a tag from Jackson Carden about halfway through the race in his battle with not only Noah but Trafford King there as well. So Osbaldeston has arrived on the scene and immediately making Tuller go defensive. And we've got a 4th different 750 Motor Club Championship represented here in the form of Noah Osbaldeston. So let's run through it. Trafford King, the Type R Trophy Champion. James King, the former Armed Forces Race Challenge racer. Tortola, the low-cost racer. And now Noah Osbaldeston, the Sports 1000 racer as well. What a great advert for the variety of 750 Motor Club championships we have here. We're coming up to half race distance. Now, still Trafford King who leads. James King started on pole position, but lost the lead a couple of laps into the race. But keeping Tortola at bay. And Noah Osbaldeston, once again, will try and have a look at Tortola. Switches to the inside, going into Druids. And that is 3rd position now for Noah Osbaldeston, the 17-year-old. Just completed his 1st year of car racing. The young man from Bury St Edmunds took his 1st win in Sports 1000s at this track, on this layout. He knows it well, he likes it a lot. And now he's looking at the back of James King, and then it will be battle resumed between himself and Trafford King. Immediately pounces on James King, wasted no time there at all, into clearways and into 2nd place. But James King is fighting back on the inside. There is just about an MX5's width there on the inside, and Ellis was taking it. King was taking it, I should say, sorry. So James King fights back, and now down the inside into Paddock Hill Bend. So punch and counter punch there between Noah Osbaldeston and James King. Osbaldeston with another right hook there going into Druids, and maybe has consolidated that one now as he moves back up into 2nd place. But look at that, 3 corners and 3 position changes between those 2 drivers. That has given Trafford King a little bit of reprieve, nearly 0.7 of a second his advantage now. Now, if you were watching Formula 1, you'd be thinking, oh, it's so close. In MX5 racing, that is an eternity. Less than 5 minutes to go now. We're 2/3 of the way through the race. The question is going to be, can Osbaldeston bridge that gap and challenge Trafford King for final victory of the night? Trafford King already going for a 2nd victory of the season. Now Osbaldeston trying to stop him, and well, look at that, he has halved the gap already. It was 0.7 of a second, it's now only 3.5 of a second. And looking at that shot right there, there is absolutely nothing between them. The gap's very equidistant, about a car length or so between King and Osbaldeston here. What is going to happen in these final 4 minutes? Still it is James King just hanging on to 3rd position. We'll keep our eyes on Osbaldeston and King. This is battle resumed from race 1, of course. No Jackson Carden at this time, I'm afraid. Can't even see him on the timing tower, actually. He's had a torrid one in this one for someone who's been very, very rapid throughout the day. Oh, there he is in 14th position. He was in the lead fight earlier on, but now it is just between King and Osbaldeston. And Osbaldeston very, very close and saving a big twitch there through Paddock Hill Bend. And King now, for the first time, having to go defensive into Druids. So he successfully hangs on to the place. Oh, blinking from Noah Osbaldeston. That's going to be very unnervy for Trafford King to see him blinking on and off in his virtual mirror, will have to leave just a little bit more space than he expects. Backing out of a move there was Osbaldiston. Oh, look how much space he gave up. Oh, what's going on with Osbaldiston here? He's suddenly lost about a second in one corner. Ah, now, has he been given a track limits there, and he's had to yield some time because suddenly he was very, very slow into Surtees. Managed to hang on to second place somehow, which was quite astonishing. So still ahead of James King and Tortola, but potentially, yeah, track limits there that Osbaldiston had to yield some time there, potentially. And the gap now up to about a second to Osbaldiston and Trafford King, and that could make all the difference. That could make all the difference. What could also make all the difference is these back markers that Trafford King is about to come up to as well. So we'll not count our chickens just yet going into clearways. And yeah, King was a little bit compromised there. That's helped Osbaldiston bridge the gap somewhat. Oh, they're racing as well. Of course they will be, but blue flags are going to be coming out, and Trafford King is going to have to put a proper racing maneuver on these two cars. Look at that, Mark Crawford, very nearly. Oh, and Osbaldiston into the side up for the second time tonight. Osbaldiston is round at Paddock Hill Bend, and a crucial part of this race. And from second position, Osbaldiston is now down in about 7th. Oh, dramas yet again for the young man who arguably could have taken 2 race wins tonight, but some scrappy moments have prevented him. And so, wow, now we're looking at James King trying to get around the back marker there, and Trafford King now with a 1.8 second, make that 1.9 second advantage with 2 laps remaining in this race, and is very much on course now for a second victory in only 3 races. Who is going to be joining him on the podium? In what order, though? Is it going to be James King ahead of Tortola? Or can Tortola make a move as James King dips 2 wheels into the gravel there? There's plenty of gravel for them to try and clear on the exit of the corner, thanks to Noah Osbaldiston. Plenty of it off the racing line there as well. At Druids, Tortola, who is still following in the wheel tracks of the car that started on pole position. Remember, our race 2 winner, after a cracking defensive effort earlier on tonight. Coming up to start the final lap of the race now, and Trafford King nearly 2 seconds to the good. Is it going to be James King in second and Tortola in third, or can the low-cost racer make his move for second position, going down into Paddock Hill Bend for the final time? All slightly wide there from James King. That is going to give Tortola some momentum. And if he doesn't move to the inside, Tortola will. Wasn't quite able to draw the overlap that he needed, though, going into Druids. And so it is still the former Armed Forces Race Challenge competitor who hangs on to second place, our race 2 winner in second place. And if he doesn't do anything into Surtees or clearways, you would imagine that James King will hang on to second place here ahead of Tortola, who doesn't look close enough to challenge. Tries that wider line, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Tortola to try and take second place. And so for the second time in the first 3 races of the season, it's a second victory for Trafford King in the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship. He rounds out the first meeting of the season with a great record of 2 wins and a second place finish. James King gets another podium after his race 1 victory, and Tortola makes it back-to-back podium finishes as well. Great stuff once again, and an incredible night of racing to kick things off in this brand new championship. A great way to start a new era as well, with the switch over to iRacing. Thankfully, the dedicated numbers and liveries have made things quite a bit easier to spot as well. Trafford King very much on the form that he was on in the inaugural season. Hopefully, we'll be able to hear from our various winners. Sadly, there's not enough of a gap between the races to really hear from them, but hopefully we'll hear from them very shortly. Not least from Trafford King, who Will be leaving here as the championship leader. So I'll remind you that we are back in 2 weeks' time with the Sustain Fuels Formula V Championship at Silverstone National. First of our single-seater type cars. Remember, all of these 6 rounds inspired by real-world 750 Motor Club competition. We'll see the Global Mazda MX5 Cup back for the 45-minute endurance race on the 13th of January, just after the Christmas break at Alton Park on the international layout. But next, it will be a trip to Silverstone and the Formula V, where a significant percentage of the grid has been running on synthetic fuels, as the title sponsor would suggest, thanks to Sustain Fuels. So we'll be hearing from James King very shortly, our race 2 winner. The Cyprician, who backed up that race 2 win with a second place finish in race 3, will be in a very good position in the championship, I would have thought. Noah Osbaldeston, by the way, recovered to 6th position in those final couple of laps. We can actually take you through the results. So, yeah, Trafford King, James King, Todd Tully, your top 3. Then James Ellis, Daniel Perry, and Noah Osbaldeston there in 6th position, with Ross Lauren, Alex Stockton, Stanley Rolfe, and Luca Monroe inside the top 10. But we can now hear from James King, our race 2 winner, and also at 2nd place in race 3. James, how are you feeling after tonight's racing?
Sweaty. Oh.
Yes, I can imagine. I mean, what a fight you had with Trafford.
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, he's really a very good driver. Also, I've never shared a real track with him, but I've seen him out there in the Civics, and yeah, I did a lot better than I thought. I was expecting to be, maybe sort of lower end of the top 10 in every race, and then yeah, race 2 and 3 have just been phenomenal.
I mean, tell us how it's been battling with all of these guys. What was great about it as well? Obviously, you used to race in the Armed Forces Race Challenge. Trafford's in the Type R Trophy. We had Noah from Sports 1000, Tortola from Low Cost as well. It's so rare to see all of you guys getting the opportunity to battle it out.
That's it. Obviously, it's so many different disciplines of racing within the same thing. Admittedly, sim stuff has been my main thing more than the real stuff. I mean, my only experience on track so far has been in a 116 trophy car, which, while still good, is definitely different to an MX5 and iRacing.
Yeah, I mean those 116 trophy cars, very very popular, not just in AFRC but also our 116 trophy as well. But I believe you're focusing more on the sim stuff next year with RAF Motorsport, right?
That's it. Yeah. So I'm at the other side of the European continent at the moment, in Cyprus, so it's a lot harder to compete at UK events, sadly. But yeah, 2027 might see a return to the track for me.
Okay. So you're not actually from Cyprus.
No, no. I'm gonna say I'm
Ah.
just based out here for a couple of years.
Okay, right. I've been calling you a Cyprician all night, but I'll make a change to that one. While I've got you, actually, there's no relation between you and Trafford King, is there? Just a
No,
coincidence.
no. I was waiting for that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. Well, congratulations on your race 2 win, and of course the podium in race 3 as well. And we're very much looking forward to battle resumed in 2 weeks' time.
Fingers crossed.
Uh, well, thanks for joining us, James. We will now talk to Trafford King, 2-time race winner tonight. Trafford, it's back to winning ways for you.
Yeah, I can stop sweating now.
Yeah, actually, your rival said exactly the same thing as well.
Which one? Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, it was warm. No, some of these boys are fast, very fast, and especially with MX5, you just get as soon as you're in behind someone, pace can be half a second, 3/4 of a second, and you're still there. So yeah, it keeps everyone nice and close.
I mean, it's great. We're going to have this car back again for the endurance round as well. But just tell us, overall throughout the night, you were battling with a bunch of people that you've been in the same paddock with, but not actually been able to go wheel to wheel with.
Yeah, it's good to see everyone. It's good to see the grid, especially now we moved over to iRacing. It just shows how much more popular it is with everyone jumping in.
And of course, you had a very successful year in the Type R Trophy. I'm sure you're disappointed that there isn't actually a Type R car in iRacing. But do you know yet if you're going to be back to defend that title?
We'll see. We'll see. See what happens over winter. See what sort of sponsorship comes round. Because obviously, it's the budget end of motorsport, but it's still ridiculous, so to say. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. If anyone is out there that wants to drop on, nice little space on car. All me sim liveries.
I feel like we have the same conversation every year, Trafford, about about budget and about sponsorship. But all the best with that, really.
Yeah, cheers. It's we'll see how we get on, but hopefully I can come back and have another go, especially after the sort of anti-climax of Donington Park when it got called off, which ended season. But never mind.
Well, hopefully that won't be the case with the Winter Sim Championship. I'm not sure how it can be the case. Maybe a server failure is the only thing that could get in our way. But yeah, we're looking forward to seeing the fight once again in a couple of weeks' time when we go to Silverstone.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see how I get on in those little Formula V's because they are tricky to drive. But
Oh, okay,
we'll have a go.
good little teaser there. Right, well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, Trafford. Thanks for chatting to us, and well done on tonight.
Cheers.
So that wraps things up from the first meeting of the season for the 2025-26 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship powered by Grid Finder. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time on the 16th of December for